What's up, Stat Fam? I told you we was coming back with another one. We got who were the 5 players drafted before Larry Bird. This is a live reaction. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that sub button, and comment below. Let get it. You already know it's live and legendary. You already know I'll be happy now. I promise you I do. I'll be ready. I don't know who the 5 players that was drafted before Larry Bird, but we about to find out. I tell you that. We definitely about to find out. Shout out to them Bird fans out there. The real Bird fans. We salute you now. The real Bird fans watch every video, every game. Real legends now. You can start a bit, Bird.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And today I am back in a video with this time once again. We're talking about one of the all-time great NBA legends, that being Larry Joe Bird. As you guys know, in Bird's career, he won 3 championships as well as 3 MVPs with the Boston Celtics. Now, looking past all of that, Larry in college also had a pretty dominant career. As in his senior year, his team had an incredible 33-1 record and made it to the national championship. Now, that final year for Bird was in 1979. But the previous year, he was taken number 6 overall by the Boston Celtics in a weird draft loophole. And looking at that draft, there were 5 players, I repeat, 5 players taken ahead of Larry Legend. So with that being the case today, we're going to look at those 5 players. Were they bust? Were they successful? Were they even all-stars? And how regretful are they passed up on Larry Legend? Now with all that being said, let's get into the video.
Legendary.
So we're looking at the 1978 draft Larry Bird was a part of. The first overall pick in that draft was indeed Mychal Thompson out of Minnesota. And this pick at the time, it wasn't really controversial, as he had a stellar college career. In total, averaging 20.8 points per game, 10.0 boards, 2.0 assists, 1.0 steals, on 57% shooting. He was a 2-time All-American, 3-time All-Big Ten, and at his best, averaged 25.9 points per game, as well as 12.5 boards. In his senior year, his Minnesota team had a pretty impressive 24-3 record. So looking back to the late 70s, Thompson definitely had a stellar college career, and being the first overall pick wasn't that surprising and wasn't considered a bad choice. And after being drafted to Portland, he had a pretty impressive rookie year, averaging nearly 15 points per game on 49% shooting. And in total, he played 6 years with the Blazers, averaging 17 points per game, 9 boards on 51% shooting. But I think Mychal Thompson, what he's most known for is his time with the Showtime Lakers. And in LA, he would win 2 championships as LA's best big man off the bench. And looking at his career in total, he averaged 13.7 points per game, 7.4 boards, 2.3 assists, 1.1 blocks on 50% shooting. Of course, he won 2 championships. He was an all-rookie member. In 1982, had his best season, nearly averaging 21-12. And in total for his career, he had 6,951 rebounds, which is second all-time in the 78 draft class. So when looking at Mychal Thompson overall, in the first overall pick, he was far from a bust, as he had a really accomplished 13-year career. But taking over Larry Bird in hindsight was really a pretty bad choice. Now looking ahead to the number 2 pick, we have Phil Ford, who was taken by the Sacramento Kings. And Phil Ford, if you guys didn't know, is the best point guard in UNC history. And in college, he was absolutely dominant at the guard position. For his career, averaging 18.6 points per game, 6.1 assists, 2.1 boards, 1.8 steals, on 53% shooting. His Tar Heels team was a 2-time ACC champion, he was a 1-time ACC MVP, and a 3-time All-American, all being consecutive. And in his senior year, he averaged 20.8 points per game, which is career high at UNC. And to give you guys some perspective, Phil Ford, during the late 70s, early 80s, he was the best guard player UNC had ever had. Even Michael Jordan in college, you could argue, wasn't as good as a prime Phil Ford. So being the number 2 overall pick was not that bad of a choice. And looking at his first 3 years in the NBA, he was definitely a very effective point guard, as in total, he averaged 16.5 points per game, 8.2 assists, on 47% shooting for a decent Kings team. And looking more in depth, in his rookie year, he averaged 15.9 points per game, 8.6 assists, 2.2 steals, on 47% shooting. That year, he was first team All-Rookie, the Rookie of the Year, and also made an All-NBA team once again as a rookie. In NBA history, only 21 players have ever accomplished that in their rookie seasons. Now, the downfall of Phil Ford in the NBA would come late in his 3rd year, as he would have a severe eye and orbital injury that would hamper him for the rest of his career. As after that injury, he only played 4 more years in the NBA, being a borderline role player at best. In 1985, he would go out on a pretty sad note, only averaging 1.8 points per game on 29% shooting. And looking at his NBA resume in total, he averaged 11.6 points per game, 6.4 assists, 1.8 boards, 1.2 steals on 47% shooting. And like I said, he peaked in the late 70s, the early 80s, 1979 to 1981. Pre-injury Phil Ford was a borderline All-Star and All-NBA contender. After that, he fell off and was simply never the same. So looking back on this pick, it's definitely unfortunate, as Phil Ford had some serious bad luck. Now looking on to number 3, the 3rd pick in the draft was indeed Rick Roby, who came from Kentucky. And looking at his time in college, it's pretty safe to say he had a stellar career, averaging 13.3 points a game, 8.0 boards, 1.4 assists on 58% shooting. In his senior year, he was an NCAA champion, as well as an SEC champion, which he also did 2 more times. Also in total, he's a 1-time All-American and a 3-time SEC member. In his sophomore season, averaged 15.6 points per game. So when it comes to his college career, he's a very good, if not even great player. Now when it comes to the NBA, that's a different story. As being the 3rd overall pick, he has some pretty high expectations. And in Rick Roby's career, it was pretty clear from the jump, he was no superstar or even star-level player. As 43 games in his rookie year, he was traded from Indiana to the Boston Celtics. And while playing with the Celtics, he did win 1 championship in 1981. And in total, spent 4.5 years with the team, averaging 8 points per game, 4.7 boards on 51% shooting. So for a championship caliber team, Rick Roby is a pretty good bench player who rarely started any games. And looking at his NBA resume in total, he played 8 total seasons, averaging 7.6 points per game, 4.7 boards, 1.2 assists on 50% shooting. He's a 1-time champion, like I said, and before his rookie season ended, he was traded multiple times. And his overall basketball peak definitely came early. In 1980, he averaged 11.5 points per game and 79 6.5 boards. So Rick Roby, being the 3rd overall pick, was definitely overvalued and a pretty bad choice. And I think it's safe to say this guy was definitely an NBA bust. As in total for the 78 draft, he ranks 22nd in points, 22nd in assists, and 18th in overall rebounds. And once again, being picked over Larry Bird doesn't make it any better. Now looking at the number 4 pick, we have Michael Ray Richardson, who was picked by the New York Knicks. And Michael Ray is quite literally one of the forgotten legends of the 1980s. And looking at his college career in Montana, he averaged 17.1 points per game, 6.3 boards, 3.7 assists on 49% shooting, playing 3 years at the college. In his best year, and in his senior season, where he averaged 24.2 points per game.
Damn.
And in large part due to that senior season, Michael Ray Richardson will go number 4 overall to the New York Knicks. And his first few years in the NBA were simply spectacular. As from 1982, he's a 3-time All-Star, put up some eye-popping stats. In those 3 years, averaging 17 points per game, 8.4 assists, 6.8 boards on 47% shooting. And in 1980, averaged 10.1 assists, the most in the NBA, as well as 3.2 steals, also the most in the NBA. And at that point, he was seen as the savior of a dead Knicks franchise. But unfortunately for many Knicks fans, Michael Ray had a pretty bad habit of sniffing coke, getting into drugs, as well as gambling with the mafia. And in 1986, only 1 year after being an All-Star, he would be banned for life due to cocaine abuse. and for the rest of his career, he played in Europe, Greece, Italy, even Canada, but never once stepped foot on an NBA court. And looking at his NBA resume, it's still pretty impressive despite the short sample size. In total, averaging 14.8 points per game, 7.0 assists, 5.5 boards, 2.6 steals on 46% shooting. He was a 4-time All-Star with the Nets and Knicks, a 3-time steals champ, 2-time All-Defensive, and 1-time assist leader. And like I said, 1980, he was the NBA's leader at 10.1 assists per game. So Michael Ray, much like Phil Ford, had a promising start, but a very disappointing end to his NBA career. And being picked 4th overall, I would say was definitely a pretty good pick at the time in 1978. Now looking ahead to our last player, in the 5th pick in the 78 draft, we have Purvis Short. Once again, one of the more underrated players of the 1980s. And looking at his college career, just like Michael Ray, he played at a very small school, that being Jackson State. And in 3 seasons, he averaged 23.4 points per game, 9.3 boards, on 53% shooting. He was a 1-time Player of the Year, and his last season averaged 29.5 points per game, with 11.4 boards. Now, unfortunately for me, there's not much film, not much data, and there's not much writing in general about how good Purvis was in college. But looking at his time in the NBA, he's definitely underrated and heavily slept on. As in his absolute prime, from 83 to 86, he averaged an astounding 24.5 points per game, 5.3 boards, 3.3 assists, 1.4 steals on 47% shooting. For a 4-year stretch, Purvis was an elite scorer and one of the best forwards in the NBA. Now, unfortunately for him, he played in an era with the best small forwards of all time, including one Larry Bird. And looking at his career in total, he played 11 seasons, averaging 17.3 points per game, 4.3 boards, 2.5 assists, 1.0 steals, on 47% shooting. And like I said before, in the mid-80s, he definitely peaked, averaging 28 points per game and scoring 40-plus points 5 times in 84 as well as 85. And in his career, he was top 5 in points per game twice and averaged 20 points per game for 4 straight seasons. So looking at Purvis as the 5th overall pick, in my own personal view, I think he's actually kind of underrated and a heavily slept on draft choice for the Golden State Warriors. Unfortunately for him, the best small forward of the decade, and possibly all time, was taken 6th, 1 pick behind him. And once again, looking at these players taken ahead of Larry Bird, for the most part, they had successful NBA careers. Aside from Rick Roby, they also showed potential and had some great moment or great season at their absolute best. Michael Thompson was a 2-time champion. Phil Ford was an All-NBA player as a rookie. Michael Ray averaged 10 assists per game in his 2nd year, and Purvis Short at his best averaged 28 points per game. For the most part, those players are definitely worthy of being top 5 picks. And hypothetically speaking, Larry Bird, he could have played for his hometown Indiana Pacers, or even in the Garden playing for the Knicks. Just imagine NBA history with Larry Bird in a Knicks uniform. That changes in the 1980s and the whole Magic Bird Boston-LA rivalry. So that right there is the end of the video. That was 5 players taken ahead of Larry Bird in 1978 draft. As always, thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time.
Lockdown. That was legendary right there. You know, salute all them legends up there. We don't disrespect no legend. They paid away for me. Promise you. Let me see, can I rename Phil Ford, Michael Thompson. What do you say? Was it Curtis Short or Curvis Short? Michael Ray Richardson and Rick Roby. I was listening. I was listening now. You gotta do your homework. But y'all know who's supposed to win number 1. Big Bird, definitely. Definitely. And no disrespect to them real legends. They real legends too. Their career might have didn't pan out the way Big Bird career panned out, but they still real legends. That still don't change the fact they a real legend, I promise you. All of them. Everybody on that list paid away for me. Salute legends. We never gonna disrespect the real legends. Promise you. No matter what they were doing, I'm gonna tell you something they'll do. These motherfuckers, they will ban somebody. They'll be quick to ban some damn about it though. when you down at your worst and you really need them, they'll ban the hell out of you. See, you gotta watch these people. It's all good though. Shout out to them real legends. But we know Big Bird supposed to went #1. The guy went to Indiana State. Listen, just listen. The guy could have went there, played with Bob Knight. He could have went over there. Everybody, y'all know Bob Knight, the Indiana Hoosiers. Y'all already know that was the team. That was Dean Smith and them before Dean Smith. Indiana and them. Bob Knight, y'all already know legendary Bob Knight. This guy, Big Bird, went to the opposite college, Indiana State. The guy haven't accomplished shit. Went over there and left. The dude went over there. just listen. The dude went over there, led them guys to a damn NCAA tournament appearance. What's about? It ain't like they lost hella game, bro. Dude led them guys to a national championship game, and they was undefeated. And they lost to Magic Johnson then at the end of the year for the national championship game. What an accomplishment. Even though he lost, motherfucker still won. Think about it. That shit crazy, man. That's why he took the team, took Indiana State to the damn championship. To the national championship game. Who was doing shit like that? Dude was leading. Bro, are you serious? You do have one at all levels. Spring Valley. Am I mistaken? Am I right, y'all, Bird fans? Spring Valley? I think it's Spring Valley. If it ain't Spring Valley, I know it's the Valley. One though. We know that. If we know it's French Lick, I tell you that. I promise you. This dude led the, bro, I'm still in awe. Like, it's legendary when you listen to history and you really want to learn it. Dude led the team to the national championship and only lost one game. Think about that, man. And he playing against brothers. They thought Bird was a nigga the way he was torching the league. They really thought he was a nigga, like literally. Nolan Richardson said it. Bird, he said it. Come on, man, just think about that. They really thought that man was black the way he was torching the league. Back then they had newspaper. You couldn't turn on YouTube. You couldn't turn on all that to see who was snapping. You just got it in the newspaper. The hell is Bird? They thinking Bird a nigga the whole time. Come on, man. Real legend. That's legendary. Real legend, man. For real. That's legendary right there, man. Come on, man. For real. We know Bird. Y'all know y'all supposed to draft the Big Bird #1. And if Bird would have played for the Knicks, ooh. I'm trying to imagine that right now. That would have been sweet. That would have been sweet. That would have been sweet right there. See that 33 with Bird on the back and that blue and orange? That would have been sweet. Ooh. I think was that the Walt Frazier era? If he would have played for them, that would have been cold. If Bird would have played with Walt Frazier and them, boy. I can see Walt Frazier coming down right now and Bird in the corner, he waiting. That would have been sick. That would have been sick. Whoever would have been on the team, either way, if Bird was on the Knicks, it would have been sick no matter who he would have played with. He make his teammates better the way he'd be playing anyway. You're going to follow behind him. That's a leader. You lead by example. Definitely supposed to win #1 though. NBA, you got to do better than you got to do better. But they can't see hustle. That's one stat they can't see. Can't see. I promise you. You can't coach it. You got to have that in you. You got to be in you. And it definitely was in Big Bird, I promise you that. Huh? Torched the lead, man. Definitely did. Shout out to them real legends. Michael Thompson. What is it, Curtis Short or Curvis Short? Y'all know. Somebody let me know in the comment section if I mispronounce his name. Shout out to them real legends. Phil Ford. Was it Michael Ray Richardson and Rick Roby? Those are 5. Legendary. Come on now. We salute them. Pay the way for us now. We never disrespect the real legends over here. We never could. And let me say this again. We ain't done with the 80s. We ain't done with the 70s. Shit, we ain't done with the 60s. It started at 64. And we ain't done with the 90s. It's legendary. You already know. Historic. It's a blessing. We thank the Lord for it every day. Thank y'all, Bird family. Thank y'all, Stat family, for watching the full video. We're going to be back with another video after this video. Make sure y'all stay prayed up. Y'all be safe. Y'all be good. You know what?